Hi, this video is for Assessment 2, your digital identity story for MGT568 Leadership and Difference. So this one is worth another 30% and it's due on the 8th of January. So you've got the session break to actually get it together. And you've got a lot of December as well, so you've got a lot of time to actually prepare this one. So my sense would be it'd be really great if you prepared it over December and you know, had a bit of a break, got it in before the Christmas break. And I will get feedback back to you before the 1st of February. Obviously it'll be a lot sooner than that. Okay, now this assessment requires you to produce a leadership identity story and to produce this in a digital format of your choice. So the focus is on leadership. It's not purely just on you as a person, but you as a leader you in the context of leadership. So before you begin this task, you'll need to read the guidelines on how to create a digital story under the digital storytelling, learning content and activities. So have a look at those, and there's specifically a guide from the University of Wollongong which is particularly powerful. I'm also going to go over this. We'll have an online meeting and we'll talk more about this, and I'll show some examples as well. And then I've uploaded resources under the Interact2 site, and they're called Digital Storytelling Resources, and they're linked there. So you've got to do 5 tasks for this, and we've put it into 2 parts. Part A, which is your story script. So you need to write a script first, and then you actually do the digital presentation. And at the conclusion of the story, you discuss how you would put into practice the knowledge of your identity. So first of all, the story script. You select a feature of your identity and investigate a critical moment. So we're looking at crucible moments or critical moments in your life that relate to a feature of your identity that may have been responsible for shaping or changing your life and your direction or whatever in relation to leadership. So write a story about this critical moment or incident in a script of approximately 250 to 500 words. In this story, identify in some detail how this feature relates to difference. So I've had people write about they have a Scottish heritage, they come from a family that was maybe racist. I've had people who grew up in difficult situations. I've had people who have been working with in an organisation and were mentored by somebody, and they realised that they were like that person and they were different from others. So there's a whole range of areas where we can find out that we are different, and that informs where we go with our leadership. And so it relates to your difference and your capacity as a leader at an individual, organisational and or community level in your current work. Okay, so relate it back to that. Trace back. Like, for instance, I trace back the fact that I'm a facilitator, and I trace that all the way back to when I was actually, and you all can get a kick out of this, I worked in Western New South Wales many years ago on feral pig control, and I had to work with groups of landowners, and to actually be able to work with those groups of landholders, I had to be able to listen, and I had to be able to facilitate collaborative conversations. And I met a couple of people who were very skilled and very good at this, and seeing what they could do, I realised that was a crucible moment for me, and I realised that was where I wanted to place my energies. So that's just one example. It's a very small example, but that's probably not a story about difference though. we'll discuss this in the online meeting some more about stories of difference, because we can all tell lots of stories of those, and we'll facilitate some processes on that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And then the part B, the digital presentation. This is where you're going to create a short video or media presentation. Now, this is where I quite often get angst from people who are not technically savvy. If you can produce a PowerPoint, you can produce a digital identity story. So being able to get a PowerPoint together, particularly of a lot of visuals, and then being able to, in the PowerPoint facility, there's a voiceover facility, and if you're not particularly technically savvy, I'm sure there's somebody that you work with, and I can also show you, and there's people at CSU who can help to actually show you how to do that voiceover, and so you can just do a PowerPoint with a voiceover. But a lot of people use their iPhones to do a digital identity story. They might just do an iPhone of themselves talking. Other people have used Adobe, Google. There's a whole range of resources that you can use to produce digital stories. And so it only has to be 2 to 4 minutes long, and that your script will underpin that. And it's got to be a cohesive story, so it's got to be a good yarn. It's not an academic piece of writing, however, you are expected to reference any literature or media, and you do that in the last slide, okay, at the end. Or you can put it in, embedded in the video, and or when you submit your script, which will be separate, you can put the list of references if you have any in there. You also, for copyright reasons, have to acknowledge pictures and media and that sort of stuff now too. Okay, so look at those copyright guidelines. And look, as I said, there's lots of examples that can be found on the web, but look at those provided by the University of Wollongong and on the I2 site first. But as I said, there's lots of them on the web. So the rationale for this is really that we want you to first be able to locate yourself and your identity in relation to others. So what is it about me that makes me unique or different? What are the gifts I bring? And these might be socioeconomic background. They may be racial, ethnic. They may be sexual orientation, behavioural differences. You might have quite a different personality from a lot of other people. There's a whole range of ways that you know that you're different. You may have some sort of disability. So it doesn't have to be the out and out obvious ones, although having said that, mostly people revert to those really obvious ones, particularly if you've come from another country, another culture. If you're a woman, that can be an area of difference for some. So there's a whole range of different ways. You might be very short, you might be tall, there's a whole range of ways that we can be different, and we feel our difference and notice our difference compared with other people, and that gives us a unique gift. I look upon it as a gift in leadership. So look at it from a positive model, rather than a positive approach, rather than a deficit. Okay, so what were the opportunities? What's the gifts that this difference has brought to you, and apply your learning about your identity to your own leadership practice. If you have any issues uploading your video, email me and we can work out how to share through a Dropbox folder, Google Docs or whatever. If you have any other questions, email me, preferably. The other thing that I was going to say was also that look at the marking rubric. Always follow the marking rubric, because the marking criteria will give you a guide on what I'm expecting you to submit. So you're going to submit a Word document that's got your script on it and may have your reference list. You're going to submit a digital story. Look at what's required for that script, which is part A. Look at what's required for part B. We're looking for War and Peace as well. We're looking for 2 to 4 minutes. You know, most digital identity stories are 4 minutes long. Lots of visual with a voiceover. Yeah, and it has to really show some deep insight and learning for yourself about how your differences shaped your identity as a leader. Okay, so we'll discuss this more in our online meeting, so hopefully that has cleared things up a bit for you. And I know that there is sometimes a bit of anxiety around doing this. It's really quite transformative, and I'm sure that you will all enjoy producing this story. So thank you for watching and listening.